Las distracciones y narrativas reinan este mundo tecnológico. Todos tienen una opinión de lo que es la verdad y lo que es mentira. ¿Quién controla el mundo? ¿Los aliens son real? ¿Vivimos en un Matrix? Estas preguntas serán debatidas con José y Daniel G, explorando y descubriendo las verdades de nuestro mundo, nuestras creencias y nuestro reality. Welcome to Cultura Truth Project. Dímelo, mi gente. Welcome back. Es otro episodio. Another one. Cultura Truth Project. Jose G. Daniel G. Dímelo. What's up, bro?
Well, it's otro episodio, mi gente. It's such a good week for all of the people in the world. Oh my God. There's a lot of crazy stuff. A lot of crazy content I've been consuming lately. I sent you some of the stuff. Dude, I'm excited for this episode, but man, I'm good. I'm good.
It's going to be a good one. I'm blessed to be here with you, bro. Thank you for you guys tuning in, listening to us. We got Richard Aviles returning to the show today, Spanish interpreter. We had a great conversation the last time he was here. We got into the human trafficking and all the crazy shit that he gets into, but we're gonna get weird today, bro. We're gonna talk manga and anime and guilty
baby
pleasure,
sacrifices.
Baby sacrifice and all. Damn, we're starting off hot, but yeah, we got a lot of stuff that we're gonna cover today. But we appreciate you guys.
It's not flagged. It's the major YouTube channels are talking about this, so they can't flag us for saying that. So
yeah. Well,
we're just covering current events, guys.
We're covering current events, but guys, as always, make sure you follow us on all of the socials at Cultura Truth Project, YouTube, and on Rumble. Gonzalez Media TV on Facebook and on Instagram. Subscribe to the podcast on all major platforms. Leave us a 5-star review and show your support to the show by joining the Supporters Club on Spreaker. $3 a month. That's the only place you can get the exclusive audio. You can't get it on YouTube. You can't get it on Rumble. The fun stuff is in the Supporters Club. So check it out. $3 a month. We got the link in the description so you guys can show your support. Thank you guys so much. It's not just the fun
stuff. It's the extra fun stuff. It's all the stuff that mom, bro. It's like, it's like an OnlyFans stuff, but better, instead of, how like when you get the spam that goes, hey, I'm gonna show you a half a nipple, but then when you pay for the entire thing, she shows you both. It's like that, but with dudes. It's pretty cool, actually. So we should do that.
Well, let's bring on our guest for today, returning to the show. He is a language Spanish interpreter. He's also a comedian, podcaster. We got Richard Aviles back on the show. What's up, Richard? Bienvenido de nuevo, Papi.
bendición, Danny. I talk to you every day, so what's up, Papi?
Yeah, hey, every day, literally every day, 6:00 in the morning, Jose. Literally,
I love it. That's a great relationship. Richard, where can the people find you and what you got going on, man?
Brother, first of all, thank you for being here. This is one of my favorite podcasts out of all the podcasts that I've done because I can always kind of be more of myself a little bit. Whereas in other podcasts, people want to talk about more serious stuff and they kind of want to know. So if you guys are listening, follow Cultura Truth Project on YouTube, follow Danny at Papi the Comic, and follow Papi Chulo Jose G Official. And if you don't follow them, ISIS wins, guys. Just remember that. If you don't follow them, ISIS wins.
God.
You can also follow me on Instagram at language_ninja. And you can also follow me on Facebook at Richard Aviles. And you can follow my podcast, the Rico Podcast, on YouTube, which we are finally back. I'm finally back after a major hernia surgery. Most people, I put it off for the longest time, and Danny kept telling me to get it done. And one day during practice, I couldn't get up and I had problems breathing and it hurt a lot. And I had to go back, and then I finally got it done.
Well, you know, Hispanics, they don't like going to the doctor, so I get it. But still, you know.
No, it wasn't even that. It's the problem. It's not even that. The problem is that with all the things that I have going on, plus, you know, I have my kid a lot of the time, and, you know, Bridget goes to school. It was really difficult to try to schedule like a surgery. And then finally we got to the point that it was like, yeah, we need to get this done. So for everybody listening, thank you for the support. I finally got my horizontal vaginal reconstruction done. Eric's very happy about it.
Oh, yeah. I hope it's extra tight this time around.
Well, it is, because this is the thing. Look, since it's horizontal, when I'm sitting, it's like this. But look, when I lay on my side, mira esto, mira.
Oh.
Entra, mira, como guineo en boca vieja.
Jesus.
Ricardo, so what projects you got going on? Anything new that you have going on in your life right now when it comes to interpreting, comedy? Anything new going on?
I'm doing a lot more speaking engagements with interpreting. I'm actually finishing, and I haven't talked about this anywhere, so I'll talk about it here first. I actually just completed my 60-hour medical interpreting course. Yeah, a lot of studying, definitely not 60 hours. Like whoever said, shout out to Trans Interpreting and Gustavo and Edgar Hidalgo for helping me out, and Kelly for helping me out from Virginia. Shout out to them, because it's been a lot of stuff, and I just finished my HIPAA master course too. So wow, a lot of stuff going on. So I'll be testing for my medical interpreting license in September, which that's coming right around the corner. My kiddo turns 5 here pretty soon, so shout out, have a big party for her. The wife just finished her 3rd semester with a 3.2 GPA.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's been pretty. Danny knows it's been pretty difficult. It's been a lot of studying. Just paid off like a bunch of stuff too. Nothing, man. Just been working like a dog, teaching classes. The podcast is finally back up, and a part of that, I have a lot of interviews lined up with like some pretty cool people, which I'll share here because you guys are pretty dope. I have an interview lined up with a podcast called Urban Valor, which is huge on YouTube and on TikTok. They basically only talk to like veterans and stuff like that. And the dude who runs it, he's in Costa Mesa, California. So Eric and I will be heading down there to both get interviewed. Eric couldn't be here today. He has some comedy shows that he's doing up north of us. So he's a little bit busy today, but he sends his love to everybody. Follow Eric at Eric_McElroy on Instagram. I love that dude. That's like my brother from another. It's like my dad, because Eric's older than me. Other than that, man, not much. Just been, there it is, Urban Valor. I got an interview lined up with them here pretty soon, so stay tuned for that. And then I'll be doing another interview with Mr. Ian Bick. We've been texting back and forth, and we're going to be doing another interview, which that interview has brought me a lot of business. And like, it's weird because like I will have people who like will see me out in the street, and they'll see me and they'll recognize me, or they'll hear my voice and they'll be like, "You're the human trafficking interpreter guy." And I'm like, "Yeah, man, what's up?" Online on Xbox, people recognize me a lot, which is really weird to say. That's like the weirdest part to me, is like people online, when they add me, because I put my gamer tag on my stuff, like Havlix_army, and I'll get an invite and I'm like, "Hey, what's up? Who's this?" They're like, "Oh my God, it's really you." And I'm like, "Yeah, man, what's going on, bro? Hey," and just give me a follow. You know, we're up to 443 subscribers on the podcast, 6,000 on TikTok for my personal page, and 700 and something on my gaming page. So things are looking up, man. Things are looking up.
That's awesome, dude.
Yep. You didn't have to pull that one up, bro. Yeah, shout out to Ian.
This is pretty big. It's a pretty big channel. So
yeah, shout out to Ian Big, dude. That dude, he was so accommodating, man. Like so accommodating.
I saw that interview. That was a really good interview. It was well produced, great lighting, good pace. The entire production was very well done. So congratulations on doing those great collaborations, because we, being in the YouTube game, I've been in the YouTube game since 2016, and it's all about collaborating. It's all about working with good collaborators, right? Because not just collaborating for the sense of collaborating, but collaborating with people who align with you, right? With people that fuck with your message, that understand you're bringing forward, and that
it's literally networking within your community.
Yep.
Your online community, right? Like, there's a couple of trains of thoughts, especially Jose and I have both been doing this for a while, right? I've been doing it in the audio space.
I'm cool to smoke, right? I'm sorry to interrupt you, Danny. Okay.
Yeah,
I don't
come
want
on.
to be
We already talked about this on the chat, Jose.
Well,
if we were in studio, I'd say light it up, bro.
Anyway, the point is, like the trains of thoughts on how to be successful is kind of similar across all platforms, and it's collaborate, and co-promote, co-mingle. The only problem with that is if you put out some friggin', weird stuff, like we've had a couple of our guests here, shout out to Paranoid American and his bleeding set of people.
Great episode, by the way. Great episode. And actually, I have an exclusive for y'all if you want me to tell you.
Hey,
I haven't told you the story, Danny.
Oh, new for me. Cool. I always know everything.
Break it down.
You ready?
I'm excited. My nipples are getting hard.
So,
did you see your nipples are getting hard right now?
That's always, Papi. So, going back to the Big interview, when I did the Ian Big interview, there was a part of the interview, if you go listen to it and follow Ian Big too, man. We talked about, most people don't know this. Danny knows this. I got cheated on while I was in Iraq. And it really messed me up for a while, like really bad. And I have like a bit about it where I say something along the lines of like, I'm not mad that I got cheated on. I'm just mad that I couldn't see those nice set of boobs. And when I talked about that during the Big interview, I kind of choked up for a minute, and like that had never happened before. And he goes, "Ooh, you gotta, like, if you see the interview, you see me talk about it. Like, it bothered me." So we went to Puerto Rico, and this is an exclusive, by the way. I haven't told this to a lot of people. I haven't told this on camera. So I'll give it to you guys first. So if you see the interview and then you see this, you're going to laugh. So I got cheated on and I broke up with her January 9 of 2009. I never forget that, dude, because I went on a mission. I volunteered to go on a mission that day. And we did like some raids with the IPs and stuff. And I was just like ready to go, So we go to Puerto Rico in January for my wife and my kiddo, Bridget and Jalen to meet my parents, which, by the way, went phenomenal. Like, this is how good the trip went, Jose. I have an Arabic middle name. For most people that don't know, my middle name is Abdel. It took me 4 minutes and 32 seconds to go through TSA. I got to Puerto Rico an hour and 10 earlier than what I was supposed to get there. That's how the trip started, Papi. Okay. I got there, and when I got to Arecibo, the guy that was selling pinchos like 18 years ago was still there and recognized me. Great trip. So we went in January. We're going to go to the beach, La Poza. I don't know if you know where La Poza is.
No, I don't know where that is.
La Poza is in Arecibo. It's in Arecibo.
Okay.
To my Puerto Rican people who are listening to this, La Poza. So we went to La Poza. And before we went to La Poza, we stopped in Atillo, in Cajizale, in el Sam's de Cajizale, in el Walmart de Cajizale. And I'm in there, and I run into that ex that cheated on me.
Ooh.
Dun, dun, dun.
On January 9 of 2024.
Oh my God, dude.
Bro, Papi, no. You're gonna clip this.
25 years later, bro?
No,
15 years later.
Hold on. Let me get my tea ready.
Hold on. Dale,
so
dale.
I'm with
Jalen. Cup ready.
I'm with Jalen, with my kid, right? My daughter. I'm with Bridget, my wife, and I'm with my sister, Nayib Aviles Martinez. Well, shout out to Ashley. She's working for WAP, and she's doing my sister's doing like the salsa shows and stuff like that. And she just did a show. She just did like a thing with Bad Bunny. She did like a promo and stuff for Bad Bunny. So shout out to my sister, Nayib Aviles Martinez. Follow her too on Instagram. And we're at the self-checkout, and I'm standing there, and I look, and this woman with like a curly hair turns around and says, Jesse Iglesias. And I stand there and I literally go like this and I start smiling. And I'm staring at her, Jose. I'm staring at her like this. And she freezes and she goes, "Ay, Dios mío." And she goes to kiss me. And I turn my cheek. I said, "Don't touch me. No me toque." And she says, "Oh, are you here alone?" And I go, "Actually," and I pick up my kid. I go, "This is my kid." And I put her down and I go, "And this is my wife." And she starts, and I start walking out laughing. When I'm telling you laughing, you know those people, like you people in Austin have homeless people that are weird, right? Oh, yeah. I start laughing like, I start laughing like that as I'm leaving.
Like a differently abled person. He started laughing differently abled person.
So I leave, and when I leave, my wife's behind me, and I go, "What'd you do?" She goes, "I don't know. I picked up our daughter, looked at her, go, let's go home with our daddy." And just, I was like, yes, 15 years later. Like, I finally got it. And bro, it was like, I called.
You got the win.
Oh, bro. From halfway court, bro.
Bro, he did a Steph Curry from behind the 3-point line and just turned around halfway here.
Yeah, he knew halfway through it was going in. He was just walking away. And then as soon as it went, he's like,
bro, I laughed from the Walmart Natillo to La Posa. I laughed. Though I was still laughing when we got to the beach. And my wife was like, "You need to calm down." I'm like, like, bro, best day. That, and you know what's funny, bro? That's how you know God has a sense of humor, Papi.
And the synchronicity of the date, though, right?
Bro, that's what was, I didn't realize that. My wife was the one who realized it.
But that's the craziest part of this whole story, that it happened 15 years later to the date.
On the dot, bro. On the dot.
Bro, if that's not a sign of intelligent design, I don't know what is, bro.
Bro, that's how you know God. That's how I know God exists.
He's like, I know it took this long, but I got you.
You deserve, you know what, Richard? You deserve the W, Bob.
Okay, I need y'all's opinion on something now. Because Jose, I talked to Jose about this. I talked to Jose about this earlier this week via text message. 1 second, guys.
Danny's talking to his dog right now. You just can't see it.
Yeah, he's talking off camera to someone.
He's talking to the dog.
That's an interesting story though, because like I had a situation pretty similar to that happen to me. So I got divorced in 2009 as well. I got divorced in 2009. My ex-wife cheated on me as well. But my re-encounter with her didn't happen like that on the same date and everything. But it happened on an Easter Sunday, like 2 years later. And she knows what she did. And I'm not gonna air that dirty laundry here because it's old news and whatever, right?
Tíralo al medio, comay, tíralo al medio.
Pero básicamente yo estoy en la iglesia, I'm right there. I see her y voy a como que a saludar a los papás de ella, and she just like kind of like turns away because she's like completely embarrassed. And she knows why she's embarrassed. Because she's in the house of God on Easter, and then she sees the guy that she screwed over, right? So at the end, I was like, that was weird, but I was kind of like the same way. I was like laughing, and I'm like, ha, she knows. And like, ha, I got the last laugh because she knows how good I looked at that time. And I'm like, yep, this is what you lost. But
there's an old saying that my father used to say, "El que nada debe, nada teme."
Ooh.
My dad used to say that. My dad says that actually. He says that. El que nada debe, nada teme. And that's true, bro. That's the beauty of it. For me, it was one of those things that it was like, I didn't realize how much it bothered me because like, I remember like how I found out and like, it like bothered me for years, man. Like for years, bro. Like I let it bother me. And dude, here's the thing. Like, I wish her the best. Like I said, any woman that I have ever been to, any woman that I've either cheated on or any woman who's cheated on me, any woman that they feel like I've done something bad or that they've done something bad to me, bro, I wish them the best. Because at the end of the day, like, it's like people say, like, what's that old saying, that American saying? holding on to a grudge is like trying to poison someone, but you're drinking the poison yourself all the time. Something along those lines, right?
Yeah.
And to me, it's like one of those things that it's like, you know, man, like I wish you the best. I wish every goal and every aspiration that you have, I wish you health. I wish you wealth, because at the end of the day, like we all make mistakes, you know, like everybody makes mistakes. We're only human, you know, but it's like one of those things where like, it's like, it goes back to like the things that Danny and I have talked about. Like people glorify how much they love the military, but at the end of the day, that's not what's really happening, you know? And we can talk about that here too, because that's a subject that we've been touching upon.
I think to summarize what you just said is one of my favorite verses in the Bible, and it says it a couple of different times. It says, "Do not seek revenge, for revenge is mine."
Oof, bars. God had bars, bro.
No, it's like it's in the book of Psalms 40, I think verse 8 or 9, something like that. It's like literally David is like going through it, and he's talking to God, and he goes, "Well, I shall not seek revenge, for revenge is his and his alone."
Dropping bars.
And then Jesus goes, "Do not ever seek revenge, for revenge is mine." And you're like, and it's like crazy, because as humans, right, like once some sort of injustice has happened to us, let it be divorce, or somebody crossed you over in the front of the street, or, you know, cut in front of you in line, our first thing is just like, bro, I'm about to punch your eyes out. Like, but it's crazy. Like, that's like one of my favorite things is like, me and Richard talk about this all the time. Just let people be. Yep. Like, it'll come back on them. But like, that's like,
but that's not the first. That's not our first instinct as people, right?
No, it's
you know, because we're wired a certain way to always think of fight or flight. They're like, "Oh, you did me wrong. Now it's my turn to do this." But I've learned as I've grown up and I've matured. I don't think I'm that mature, but for 42, I try to be.
Compared to 22, Jose.
But compared to 22 version of me. But those are things now that I'm like, you know what? Let me just let that shit go. You know, like that thing with that we were talking about in the supporters only, like with that whole situation, like with the car that happened yesterday. Yeah. Like another version of me would have been just freaking out.
Oh no, I would have probably punched a hole through the freaking windshield.
Yeah, but I did it, but none of that happened, right? And it's just now that you have more life experience, you can react to other things in a certain way and prioritize what you should be putting your attention to. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, let's get weird. Let's switch the subjects, guys. Let's get weird. Let's get weird. Okay.
Okay. Sorry. I thought we were.
Yeah. Put the nipples away, man. We're on YouTube, not on OnlyFans. Put the nipples away, okay? So, Jose and I have been talking about this all week, and I'm sorry for the interruption earlier, but this is something that's like been like tripping on me like all week. Do you believe in time travel, Richard?
Oh yeah.
Oh. Okay. This is wild. What he's about to bring about right now is wild.
Okay. So you know the Bible pretty well. You went to like Catholic school and all that.
Me?
Right?
No. Yeah. What are you talking about? Me? I don't know anything about the Bible. Isaiah 6:8.
Anyway. So in the book of Hebrews, more specifically Hebrews 7, okay, they talk about the order of Melchizedek. Okay.
The what again? I'm sorry.
The order of Melchizedek.
Okay.
So to understand what that name is, you have to go all the way back to the book of Genesis, to Abram, not Abraham, but Abram, before he got the blessing and was changed to his name, Abraham. Okay. So this is cool because it's kind of like the Bible study that I've been doing this week, but this is the part where the conspiracy theory in me like goes off, right? So here's the deal. There is no real record of Melchizedek. All they say in the Bible about Melchizedek is that he was a priest of the Most High God, and that he has no mother, no father, and no record of being born or dying. Now, this is in the time of Abraham. I understand the records were probably not that good, and I'm sure he did have a dad or whatever. Okay, let's say that. Let's put that to the side for a moment. But in the book of Hebrews, they start talking about Jesus and how Jesus is a high priest from the order of Melchizedek. Now, mind you, Melchizedek is a character who was both a priest and a king, and there's only one other one in the entire Bible. Pop quiz, Richard. Who is the only other person in the Bible that is both named a high priest and a king?
In which version?
This in all across all versions. This is you say universal truth about one character in the Bible that is both a high priest and a king. Now, king, before you answer, now, no, okay. no. So, before I answer that question, ancient Hebrew text always say that to be a priest in the Jewish religion, you had to come from one tribe, and that tribe is the tribe of Levi. Okay. Yeah. You're tracking, right?
No, I'm following. I'm trying to remember the name now, and I can't. It's not coming.
Okay. No, you're gonna once I tell you the name, you're gonna be like, "Oh my god, what the hell?" Okay. Anyway, so
this is pretty wild when he pointed it out to me too, but I was
so right. So the only other person outside of Melchizedek in the Bible that is named both a king and a high priest, and more specifically, is named the high priest out of the order of Melchizedek, is the one and only Jesus Christ, the Messiah.
Yahusha, baby.
Yeshua, Yahusha, Yahweh himself, right? So when you think about the genealogy of where Jesus comes from, right? So basically, this is where time travel kind of came into my brain when reading this, not only with my pastor, but like in general, like, bro, like this is like some crazy stuff. So Abraham is the father of Israel, correct? Correct. And if you go genealogy per the Bible, it's Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, so on and so forth, and thousands of generations, which includes people like Ruth, Boaz. You include the more notably King David, and all these guys that are all come from the bloodline of Abraham, leading all the way to the Savior Jesus. Now, here's the crazy part, right? When you know the story of Jesus, Jesus has no physical father. His father is God, right? His mother is Mary, Immaculate Conception, right? So you have that story. So then in the Old Testament, in the book of Genesis, Melchizedek is painted as a picture of Christ. But I personally think is a second account of time travel in the Old Testament reflecting into the New. Why? I say this why? Because in the Old Testament, in this where they mention Melchizedek, and I want to give you, I think it's like Genesis 30 something, and don't quote me on that. I have to go through my Bible study notes. It's the first ever relationship with a pastor / priest type of figure and a servant of God tithing. Tithing is giving 10%. How do we know this, right? Because Abram, after conquering Sodom and Gomorrah to save his sons, Lot, right? And then his nephew's Lot, he conquered not only Sodom and Gomorrah, he got all this loot, literally loot, right? And he gave 10% to the high priest of God. And it's kind of that like affirming that relationship of like, look, you serve God, here's my 10%, I trust you with it, right? That's a whole other spiritual thing. But the interesting thing is like Melchizedek, he is compared to Jesus. He is a picture of Jesus in the Old Testament. And in my humble opinion, it is Jesus Christ himself showing up in that moment to establish order that is to be mirrored along the Old Testament onto the New. And is interesting because it's not only the first time, but I think it's like the original time where there's an actual moment of Jesus saying, hey, I am beyond time. I can pop up in the old, in the beginning, and I can pop up at the end, and I can pop up anywhere throughout this time. And it's the only time in the Bible where they connect Jesus, literally calling him a high priest from the order of Melchizedek. And Melchizedek has no record other than he's the king from Salem who later on becomes Jerusalem. And it's the only two things connecting these two people. And hold on.
my question is, what's your point in regards to, your point is that Jesus can time travel, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but that's no, in the letter to John, they talk about how he is forever, and they don't reference time travel. But if you read Genesis, you read the letter to John, you read the apostles'
you have to understand
letters.
and I understand that point where Jesus is omnipresent, right? Like, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But when you think about the timeline of humanity, he popped in the ancient time, calling him a time traveler within the physical eyes of this reality.
I understand that, but the thing is that if you look at the word omnipresent, right, which comes from Latin omniprese, right, omnipresente, hold on, I want to make sure I got this right, yeah. Omnipresent, the definition of omnipresent since before time means present in all times. So every time that word appears, I personally as a kid was like, oh, so you can time travel anywhere, because the word omnipresente, which is Latin, right, means that you are in all times. So to me, even as a kid, when I would read that, I'd be like, oh, so you can be in any time.
Well, yes. So as believers, no. I don't think you're not blowing my mind. I'm saying as believers.
No, Jose's like,
I'm listening to both points before I chime in. Go ahead.
So I think as believers, we understand that concept that God is forever here. He's been here. He's known this. He can pop in at any time. But the fact that there's record, like legit record, like not only in multiple books of the Bible, but across two different major religions, right, is what intrigues me. And it's like, when you think about this, it's like, was Jesus posing and called himself Melchizedek? Not saying he was dying or lying. I don't think he was lying. I'm just saying he showed up in that moment and he was just referred to as Melchizedek in that moment, and then pop back over to speak to Moses and have that moment with Moses and Isaiah.
Here's my question. Even though you said that there's record of it, was he there physically, or was he just kind of like had Yeshua's consciousness at that moment? Because that can also be interpreted that way, right? Because you know how some people channel like remote viewing. So what if, and I'm just saying, I know you say that there's historical record of this, right? But what if this is like some type of a quantum entanglement situation where Yeshua is both places at the same time? He is omnipresent, right? So what if, who's not to say that it was his consciousness that was in Melchizedek and not like Yeshua physically?
Again, as far as my understanding of the Bible and its different iterations, and even for what I understand in the Greek, it doesn't really mention much about Melchizedek other than the three facts that I could tell you. He was king of Salem, and he was also a high priest, and there is no record of him dying or being born or a mother or a father. That's it. And a lot of Christian scholars think that that is embodiment of Jesus. At least a lot of Christian scholars do. Now, what I think as a believer is, like omnipresent. You know, Jesus was like, yo, I'm gonna have this conversation with Moses and Isaiah real quick. Then I'm gonna pop back, set a standard of tithing and giving to the church and giving to the body of Christ. So later on we can, use it as a teaching tool. I don't know, but it's so interesting that Jesus is the only character in the Bible that is referred to as a king and a high priest, just like Melchizedek. And I think it's not, I believe in the Bible, there is no mistakes as far as why it's in there. I'm not saying that we can argue what mistakes mean, right? But I'm talking about like, as far as how the Bible and its order and its mystery, there is no mistake as far as why these things are in there and why they're so specific. It's in there for a reason. And I think it's in there because it's not only a picture of Jesus, but I think it's to let the people know there's like that time is a construct of humans, that God stands outside of that time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what the word omni. Yeah, it's funny because as an interpreter, right? I've had this discussion with people, right? Because and most people don't know this about me, which people who watch this at also follow me will be like, that motherfucker knows about the Bible. I just don't argue it, because it's like, if you look, first of all, the Bible is a compilation of books and guidelines to help you have a conversation about things. That's how I look at the Bible personally. And it's also a compilation of stories for people to learn and be able to have a starting conversation and have like a set parameters of like, this is how you should be a good human being and not be a piece of shit, right? That's how I look at it. But to me, it's like the words that they utilize. Because remember, when you translate a document, right, you have to look at the context of it. And for you to look at the context, you have to look at the time. But there are words that go beyond time. For example, and this is a one that I argue with a lot of people, is the word dinosaur, right? The word dinosaur is only a couple hundred years old.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the arguments that I have with people is like, listen, I'm not saying that dragons were real, but what I am saying is that when you look at transcripts from the Bible that were translated way before 18 something, which if one of you could pull it up, when the word dinosaur was invented and what the original Latin was, it was giant lizards or giant. I can't remember right now. Somebody pull it up. But like, that's why I say like one of those words right there, like omnipotent, like that word's always meant omnipresente. Even in Portuguese, like omnipresente. Yeah. So like, that's why it's one of those things, like time is just, it's always been a construct. That's why it's like when people talk about time travel, I'm like, what are you talking about, bro? Like, that's in the Bible. Like it's not said, but it's like implied. There we go. Hold on.
Sir Richard Owen came up with the name dinosaur in 1841 to describe the fossils of extinct reptiles. He coined the word by combining the Greek words Danos, which means terrible,
it's a literal, and Saurus, which means lizard. So again,
so it's Greek. There you go.
It's Griego. Opa.
Opa.
I was about to say that.
You know what though, Richard? I find etymology absolutely fascinating, right? Because there's so many words that we use in the English language that we don't know the root of or the history of the words, right?
Yep. That's where you get interpreters.
Exactly, right? But it's even like simple words. Like when you do a breakdown, I like to use television, right? Like it's telling you a vision, right? You know, programming. It's, you know, it's literally programming. It's channels, you know, that are broadcasting, you know. So all those words are powerful. You know, words cast spells. That's why it's called spelling. Right? You know,
yes.
I was watching an interesting video yesterday, and it was around Martin Luther, and kind of like that moment that he had, that, you know, the lightning strike, and he was like, you know, don't hurt me, I'll become a monk and all that stuff, right? Or and when he was doing that, he was praying to Saint Anne. But what if you say Saint Anne together really quick? What does that sound like? Satan.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like the whole Santa ordeal. Like if you
exactly,
look up,
they changed the word, they changed the things around.
And that happens with like interpreters and translators, you know, like that's one of the reasons that I always laugh when people are like, we don't need interpreters, we have machines that can do that. I'm like, I don't think, and here's a good tidbit for you, right? I don't think people really understand the importance of interpreters, translators, and linguists, because those are three completely separate fucking things, right? So it's important to be able to have those people, because let's say for some godforsaken reason, you know, technology disappears and we can't even do this, right? You're going to need people who can be able to talk different languages. Sure. So you're always going to need a linguist. And guess what? Whatever you put into like AI or a computer or a machine translation, it's going to be really difficult to be able to substitute a human interpreter for two basic reasons. Number one, you cannot have high registry conversations with a machine translation.
This is facts.
You can't, because the machine cannot understand colloquialism, it cannot understand context, and it also cannot understand culture, right? So I think I said that 3 times. Yeah, I said it 3 times. My bad. So when you use a machine translation, and I challenge anybody to do this, and if I'm wrong, please by all means hit me up. But when I tell people like that they use machine translations, you have to use lower register words. So to me, it's like one of those things that when you look at things in the Bible that they're trying to say, it's like, just look at the words. Stop trying to put like meaning into the phrase and look at the words that are being utilized, because that's how you would translate something. A good translator, which by the way, people who shit on translators, how the fuck do you think you can read the Bible? Why do you think there's so many things in the Bible? Because you had translators, you had interpreters. Exactly. I could do that. So yeah, it's just a matter of looking at the word of it, because again, look at dinosaurs, for example. It was like, look at that. It's a terrible giant lizard. Why are we saying terrible giant lizard? Let's just put those two words in and
that's too many words to say at the same time.
It's too many words. Yeah, it's too many words. That's why I tell people when you want to know what word to utilize, right? Like, you don't say I'm very tired. You say I'm exhausted. Daniel has said, pull up exhausted, the meaning of exhausted, and then pull up the origin of it, and watch what's gonna happen. I'm about to blow your mind. Exhausted, meaning definition, and time it was invented, and watch what happens.
Let's take a look here.
I got it.
Damn it.
Got it.
Yeah,
I apologize. I didn't mean to cuss there.
You're good, bro. We're already deep in the show. It doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, it's funny because this is around like my okay. So give me what it comes from, divided where it comes from, and what does it say? Because I can't see it. It's too small for me to see.
Exhausted. Mm-hmm. It's an adjective, or drained of one's physical or mental resources, very tired.
So then there should be a breakdown that says original, Latin, Greek, Roman, whatever.
I'm looking for that. Hold on.
Or origin. There it is.
Origin, Latin. X
what is it?
Out. X out. Latin, to draw out. I can't read that. Horin? What? Okay, let's.
Horin.
Horire. Haurire. To draw water, drain. Latin, ex hauriri. To exhaust. Oh, Jesus. That's too much.
You see what I mean? You see?
That's too much. That's too much.
So if you think a machine can do that, by all means, let me know. But
well, maybe not now. Maybe not now. Let's be honest. With AI, maybe not now, but in 10 years.
A computer can only do what someone programs it to do. When a computer can start thinking on its own, there's an anime about this. Going back to the conversation we had. There's an anime about this.
There's a movie about this.
There's a movie about this. You want to see? You want to see an anime that'll completely mess up your mind? Go watch the original Neo Genesis Evangelion. That's one of my favorite animes of all time. If you've read the Bible and you studied the Bible extensively, then go watch Neo Genesis Evangelion, and then come talk to me and tell me about the 12 apostles and all this other crap, like the interpretation of it. And you're going to see it in there that there's all these things. Everything works in a cycle. Everything comes and goes because time is. So like, yeah, man, these are 100%, just like
100%
cool.
So I want to dive into this topic because we kind of spoke about it the last time when we had you on the show, and we were talking about human trafficking and some of the cases that you had with human trafficking. And since we had our conversation, you know, some news has come to light on Diddy and all the shady shit that's been going on. And recently Jordan Peterson, I don't know if you know who Jordan Peterson is, but
of course I've read. I'm halfway through his latest book.
Yeah, I love a lot of his stuff, and he has great interviews. Don't agree with everything he says, but I love the insight that he brings in the people that he speaks with. But he just recently had an interview. And actually, I'm not Jordan Peterson. I'm sorry. I'm talking about Tucker Carlson. But Jordan Peterson had a great conversation with another guy. But Tucker Carlson, not a big fan of, but had recently a conversation.
Which one is that one?
Tucker Carlson. Wait, Jose. Let me give him background. Tucker Carlson was the former the guy who interviewed Putin.
From Fox
he was
News.
Fox.
Oh yeah. The CIA. Okay. I'm on track.
Yeah. So he recently had a conversation with the president of El Salvador. He recently got elected, and he's been turning the country around. He switched the entire currency and economy to Bitcoin. They have a huge surplus right now. He got rid of
the prison system too, right? He's the guy who switched the prison system enacted a law.
Dude, he's doing a lot of reform. Like the country, yes, the country is thriving right now. And one of the big things that he did for the country was getting rid of MS-13, a big portion of it.
Because of the satanic rituals.
And one of the things that he was talking about, that they were doing some satanic rituals within MS-13, and he talks about it in this interview with Tucker Carlson. I want to play this clip real quick so we can break it down.
So human sacrifice was a part.
Very well-known news outlet that made this interview with a gang member in person. We allowed him to go into prisons and do the interviews. They asked him, how many people have you killed? And he said, I don't remember. He didn't remember how many. I left the gang. I said, why do you left the gang? And he said, well, because I was used to kill people. But I killed for territory. I killed to collect money. I killed for extortion. But I came to to this house. They were about to kill a baby, and the killer that had killed tens of people, said, oh, wait, what are we doing? Why are we going to kill that baby? And they told him, because the beast asked for a baby, so we have to give him the baby. So he said that he couldn't resist that, so he left the gang.
Okay.
So el presidente de El Salvador está hablando de MS-13, a guy that's been a murderer for years, didn't do a job because he was told to kill a baby. Mm-hmm. And when he was asked about killing a baby, he says, because the beast demands it.
Yeah.
Now, that is something that I 100% believe is probably going down more than in just MS-13. Did you ever encounter or run into situations where you were part of something, a cult, where you had to either do some interpreting or anything that you've encountered like that? Because we're getting into some really dark territory when the president of El Salvador is coming out public and saying, like, yeah, this is what's going down. I had to hit you up.
Do you know why MS-13 uses the letter M and the number 13?
I know something about the 13.
What do you know?
I'm not 100%. I know it has to connect something with occultism, something in the Freemasonry. I forget exactly what it was, but I don't know about the MS. What is it? Please enlighten us.
So first of all,
I love learning.
Mara Salvatrucha. Denny, while I talk, pull up what the meaning of Mara Salvatrucha means. And then 13 is because 13th, what is the 13th letter in the alphabet? La M.
Okay.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M. 13, right? That's why it's MS-13. And it's been, to me, it's been common knowledge that that's always been why MS-13 does those things, is because it's for satanic rituals and stuff like that. I thought that was, and
I don't know if this is correct, but I'm going to share the screen.
Go ahead, pull it up. I'll tell you if it is or not.
So when I put Mara Salvatrucha meaning, that's the AI version of that.
Don't give me the AI version. Give me either the wiki. There it is. So okay, so read that, because I can't freaking.
There's a debate on the origins of the name Mara, but in Central American terms it's a Central American term for gang. Salva refers to Salvador, while trucha is slang term for clever or smart.
So now type in the meaning of Mara, or type it in Spanish. Definición de Mara y origen. Watch this. Now give me the order.
Pandilla juvenil organizada y
pandilla juvenil. Okay. So
organizada de conducta violenta de origen hispanoamericano.
Right? Now give me the origin of it.
Hold on, I'm trying to do that for you. Am I still sharing the screen for you?
Yeah.
No. Still sharing. Yeah. No, this is good.
Mara, pandilla, El Sal, Guat, gente, pueblo, chusma.
Okay. So pandilla, ¿verdad? Okay. Now, why wouldn't they just call themselves Pandilla 13? So now, pull up the definition, and I know where to look, so I'll do it here. Pull up the origin and definition of Salvatrucha.
Okay.
I got something here. MS-13, also known as Mara Salvatrucha, is a transitional criminal gang that originated in Los Angeles, California in the 1980s. Let's see here. MS-13, Mara Salvatrucha.
Meaning of Salvatrucha, I got it.
You got
What
it?
is it? What you got?
Salvatrucha, meaning in slang, so as not to be victimized. Former member, blah, 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 street tough Salvadorians, according to that.
So Salvatrucha means that you have street smarts, right? So it's a gang about street smarts. What it's not giving you is that the number 13 is a number of that coincides with what, Jose? Because you said it earlier.
I mean, it has to do with some occultism, Freemasonry stuff in there,
like that, right? So one of the reasons why that happens, and this is just, I'm not 100%, I'm 98% sure on this, is that they wanted a number that would inflict fear on people, so that way it would be easy for them to manipulate things and manipulate people. And the reason why they tattoo the number themselves is as to brand them. So what does the Bible say about brandings? If any of you recall, if you've read Genesis, if you've read not Genesis,
I know you're not supposed to do it.
Yeah, but why? Google it. Pull it up. No. It says in the Bible, it says something about branding, but it's very specific. And I'm gonna pull it up here too, because we're gonna pull it all together.
The linguist / interpreter is giving us a lesson in language.
I love it. We're learning right now. We're in
we
school,
should do that. We should have him on at the same time we have a donut, so we can, have him be like,
oh yeah, Donut will love it. He's all about it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out here where, because one of my business partners has the number 13 on tattooed on his hand, and I know that CM Punk also has a number 13 on his neck. So there's like a spiritual meaning behind it, and I forget what it was, but I know it has to do with.
It's in Leviticus 19:28. Thou shalt not make
Leviticus. Y'all shall not what?
Thou shalt not make it any
your body
flesh for the dead.
Because why? What does it say at the end? I am what?
Hold on, I'm looking at it. 1 second. I'm not as fast as reader as you, sir.
I'm not reading it. I know what it is, because I am the Lord, right? And if you keep reading down there, it says, do not brand yourself, because the brand, the brand, I'll paraphrase it. Branding yourself is a form of worship to something else, right? So what it's talking about is specific to me, the way that I interpret that, right? And I'm paraphrasing, but you shall not make any cuts or marks on the body of Christ, or it refers to you, right? For the dead, for the glory of God's kingdom is for those who have died, and to tattoo yourself is to go in vain against the Lord, because I am the Lord and this is my word. I'm paraphrasing it. So part of the reason why when you see gangs that tattoo themselves, and this is my personal opinion. It's not something I've researched. It's my personal opinion. And I'll answer your question in a minute, Jose. When you brand yourself with a gang, you're putting that above the Lord. So to me, any gang like MS-13, 18th Street, La M, all of that, it's always been about keeping control of the people by branding them, right? Like cattle, in order for them to be able to manipulate them. So to me, it's always been pretty common see, Jose gets it. Jose gets it now, right?
That's interesting. Yo, this is so wild, because every single time I start looking into either occult groups, either be the Freemasons, the Illuminati, MS-13, right? Whenever they're doing their rituals, either do whatever they're doing with killing babies, right? Or whatever other rituals they're doing, they're always referencing back to either something biblical, something ancient, something Egyptian, right? Every single time. Why are they doing it? Because it's something that was handed down to them generation through generation through generation. Yeah. And they believe that they have some type of magical power, right? The Freemasons do it all the time. The Illuminati does it all the time. The Rosicrucians, the Jesuits, they all have these rituals that go back to ancient biblical times. And even before that, some of them do rituals. A lot of the people that you see in Hollywood, especially like in fashion, they will do certain things or certain rituals doing praise to Baal. Right? Look at Balenciaga. Look at all the fashion shows that Balenciaga has put on. His name is in the fucking brand, Balenciaga.
Yeah.
Look at all the crazy
it's
shit.
It's one of the demons.
It's not just one of the demons. He's one of the first original effigies in the Old Testament.
That's why whenever people started talking about
Jewish
that,
people, that the Jewish people started, the ancient Jewish people, right? Not the moderns, but ancient Jewish people, when they didn't stop believing in God in the desert, they're like, well, let's build our own effigy and praise it and call it Baal. It's crazy. It's nothing new, man. It's nothing new.
It isn't, but I just find it fascinating how, like, all these younger people, they're participating in rituals that are thousands of years old.
Because remember what I said earlier about what the Bible is? It's a set of guidelines and rules for you to be able to be a good human being. So if I can brand you and get you to break little rules little by little, then I can manipulate you. And to answer your question, the only time that I've had, I don't know if it was for satanic rituals or anything, but the only time that I've ever really had to deal with, I'll tell you this one. The last case that I had, the woman who did that case with me, she died, unfortunately. Lynn Lumberg, God bless her heart. We had a woman that was pregnant and she didn't know she was pregnant. And
I think you told us about this one.
Yeah, the one who was pregnant, and when they arrested the family later, I went to the interview to interpret, and she's like, "Well, we were just gonna sell the kid."
Mm-hmm.
Like, so here's another one, right? This is why I'll give you another one, right? You're talking about rituals with babies and stuff like that, right? Have you ever seen the movie Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas?
Oh my God, that's a classic, cult classic, bro.
Love it, right? Love that movie. Jose, pull up Fear and Loathing in Vegas. Dead baby serum. Tell me what Johnny Depp says in the movie. And when did that movie come out? Dios mío.
It was like 1998.
Como 98, ¿verdad? Right.
Yeah, something like that.
Pull up what Johnny Depp says in the script about I forget the name of it.
Oh shit, he's talking about.
Pull it up. Read it.
Pull it up. Read
he's
it.
Talking about. Huh?
Hey, pull it
what
up.
Is that?
Pull it up.
He's talking about some.
And what is that for the people who don't know, Jose? Pull it up.
Hold on. I'm bringing it up here. Hold on.
Jose's over there like a little kid, like, oh my God, it's been in my face the whole fucking time.
Yeah, dude. I'm like, what?
This is why we do the podcast, man. We cover current events and we figure out what the crazy parts are about the world, man. It's crazy.
So there's actually a scene here on YouTube. I'm gonna say, I don't know if I can pull it up, but
no,
they're like, oh, we did too much. What?
Yeah, go ahead. Pull up the scene. Johnny Depp has a scene in that movie where he says it, and like the moment that I saw that movie and I saw him saying that, I'm like, this was done in biblical times.
Hold on, baby serum line. Yeah, I don't want to pull the video up because I don't want to get us shut like fucking flag for that.
Pull up you should be able to pull up the script where he says that.
Hold on. Okay, hold on. I think I have it here.
I think it is fair use, Jose, because we're commenting on it. As long as we talk over it, I think we're fine.
Yeah, just lower it.
No, I don't know what it is. Says, I never trust a cop in a raincoat. Beware of enthusiasm and love. Famous. Oh, no, these are just famous lines. Hold on.
No.
Find the one for
specifically that
one. Let's go to Reddit. Reddit will give us the thing. Reddit in Las Vegas. Oh, this is a fan theory.
Okay, what's the line again? Baby what?
He talks about I can't, Dios mío, se me va ahora. basically what he talks about, and it's talked about in human sacrificing. If you read like Mayan scripts from like back in the day, if you're into that stuff, which I haven't read that stuff in years, talk about how when you spike someone with fear, right? And even hunters will tell you like, hey, why do you want to kill a deer and not, why do you want to kill a deer where you shoot it, right? And not anywhere else? Because you avoid the meat from being either too stiff or like over tenderizing and stuff like that. It's the same with kids. Like the reason why people like do that with kids is because there's like a thing that you get that helps you rejuvenate and stuff. That's something that's, I mean, if you read any sort of like ancient rituals and stuff like that, doesn't have to necessarily be satanic. You can read Mayan stuff, you can read Greek stuff, drinking blood and all this other shit. Like it's always talking about like killing children and stuff like that. Unfortunately, like that's always been a thing. And Fear and Loathing in Vegas tells you that that's an actual drug that people pay a shit ton of money for, because what does it do? And Johnny Depp says it in the movie. He's like, it keeps you, it helps. It's something among the lines, and I'm paraphrasing, about like helps you keep you young and like rejuvenating and all that other crap.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, and that's actually a big topic of discussion of like of what some of these powerful people do, because even like TV shows make fun of it. There's some TV shows where you have like this millionaire guy, right, who hires what they call a blood boy, and it's literally they come and they literally sit down there for a few hours and do a blood transfusion from the young kid's body to the old guy's body. So using young people's blood, using their young energy, baby energy, whatever. So this is something that's been like widely reported. I even think during Pizzagate, that was something that was being talked about too. That was kind of like they were getting the children to do the adrenochrome and all that shit. Like, you know, all those wild ass theories, you know. I don't know if any of that is true, but one thing that I've learned is that if it's in the movies and if it's on TV, there has to be, it's rooted in some form of truth.
I don't know, but I will say this. Sacrificing babies, we've been talking about that, you know, since the clip for a while now. It's happened so much throughout history.
I mean, it's biblical.
It is not only biblical, man. It's reported outside of the Bible, like literally, like, oh, we got to do this, we got to do that.
Yep.
And now the adrenal, like, that's such a creepy line, because I've seen that movie and it's a good movie, but I've never put it.
Never put it together, did you?
Now with
that movie up for you, didn't I?
With this new lens, now you have to go back. You never watch movies the same way. Now with this new information that we have, right?
I've known about that since I was a kid. I remember seeing that movie in 2003, and I remember like, because I've always been like a language nerd, and I remember like he said adrenochrome. I'm like, what the fuck is that? And I remember looking in a dictionary, and it was like a hormone that people in the, if I recall correctly, and Danny, correct me if I'm wrong, Google it. It was like a form of therapy that people thought that they could use to cure. It was either schizophrenia or Alzheimer's, I think it was, back in the 70s. There's a book on this.
Yeah,
I read years ago. Like, this is all like yeah, it's all
adrenochrome. I got it. This is creepy, guys. I think I gotta have a VPN because I would hate to be looking at this. Okay, here we go. Adrenochrome.
There it is.
Chemical compounded produced in oxidation and adrenaline.
Of the blood from adrenaline, from fear.
Yeah.
Yep.
Despite the compound's name, it's unrelated to the chromium. Hold on, let's see here. Oh, this is creepy. Well, okay, so where's it found? Let's find out where it's found. Oh, they don't even give that information. They don't even give that information here. They just tell you what it is. Homostatic. What is homostatic? Oh, I can go down this.
I'll let you figure that out. Yeah.
We're gonna stop there before we get pulled down.
Danny's like, oh my God, Richard, what are you doing to me?
Yeah, and I think we're only just scratching the surface on this, though. But,
yeah, dude, I could talk about this for hours. Like, this is stuff that I just like, yeah.
But here's the thing. Okay, so let's assume, and I say heavily assume, right? Allegedly, these people are doing these things with children for that reason. Why? And I want to get your opinion, Richard. Like, why? What's the end game? Is it to stay young? Is it to do some weird spiritual thing? Like, it's talked about in pop culture. It's being talked about by gang members. It's being talked about by presidents. It's kind of the cat's out the bag. So, but like you've seen things from the inside of the courtroom. When you've seen a lot of this stuff, especially when it comes to the human trafficking and the potential of sacrifices, let it be for whatever reason, why?
I don't think you'll ever find the why, because if you ask why, then you would have to look at each individual case. But at the end of the day, what to me it comes down to, because I don't look at a problem as to like, oh, why are you doing this? Because everything has an end game, right? The way that I look at it is like, well, what purpose does that serve? Not why are you doing it? Because we can do a million things like, why do I drink so much fucking water? You know, well, because I want to fucking be hydrated. I want to do this. But why do I want to be hydrated? Why do I want to be like this? Well, I want to be like that so I'm stable, so I can do more, so I can. At the end of the day, most of that stuff is, to me, in my opinion, and in the courts, I've never seen them talk about that stuff and whatnot. But what I do see is like when people get involved with things like that, it's because an extreme belief that this is the only way that I can live forever. And this is Ricardo Aviles' opinion. You want to live forever. You want to be able to do something that would require you to have youth, right? So then what are things that you can do when you're young? That's what I would look at, right? Is you can retain control. You retain your memory a little bit better. A lot of people do it out of like desperation because they feel like they have some sort of disease that this is the only thing that they can do to cure. But at the end of the day, first of all, who the fuck wants to live forever? Like why? Like why? Like I think of like living forever as something that's pretty dumb, because even if you look at the Bible, like it talks about like living forever and stuff like that, when it's like, I don't think it's something that I would want to do, because you would get pretty lonely. And I think at the end of the day, actually, here's a perfect example. You guys are DC fans, right?
Yeah. No.
Okay.
Sure.
In DC Comics, there's a character named Vandal Savage. This character, in my opinion, it's very well written. Vandal Savage is a dude that, for some reason, he achieved a level of homeostasis that what he was able to do is he is able to live forever. Like nothing can kill Vandal Savage. And what's funny of it is, which by the way, homeostasis is a tendency to try to reach a sort of balance with independent elements while maintaining a physiological process, right? So basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to maintain a certain level of X, whatever variable you want to put into, so physically you can continue to do whatever process you're doing without losing the balance that your body has at a set time. So to me, it's like, why would you want to live forever? Well, what do you know that I don't know? And to me, the way that I look at it, and I had a guy on the podcast named Harrison Broadstreet, which shout out to him. He's a great comic. And he talked about how to look at things unbiasedly. And the number one thing that you should do to look something unbiasedly is look at what that person has to gain. Well, I take that one step further personally, is not only what you have to gain, but what do you know that I don't know that's making you do something that crazy, right? It's just like trafficking. Like, why do people traffic kids? Because they want money. Because at the end of the day, it's a money and a power thing. And it's a very, unfortunately, it's a very lucrative way to make money. I mean, Epstein. So,
Diddy. I'm sorry.
To me, to me, the way that the reason why a lot of people do that is because they know something, or they have maybe discovered something that they're like, ooh, I don't want to go down that route. And there's a million ways that we could paint this, right? Maybe they've done something that they think that if they live a little longer, they can redeem themselves, right? Because even the Bible says like redemption is woe, right? So like everybody's redeemable. Not in my personal opinion, but I'm a piece of shit. So to me,
hey,
I look at it as,
don't say that about yourself, bro.
I keep telling him he needs to stop talking so negatively about himself.
A linguistic guy who we're just talking about etymology. We're just talking about words of power. You're casting spells and you're calling yourself a piece of shit, bro. Don't say that.
I'll tell you offline why I say that. So to me, it's like the reason why they're doing that is because there's something that they want to achieve or something that they want to reach to. You can add whatever variable, give me any variable that you want to throw in. At the end of the day, it's because there's something that you want to achieve that you know that you're like, oh, I need to live longer. I need to do this and I need to do that. And at the end of the day,
that's the thing, right? But because whoever they may be, the elites, the powerful, the rich, the wealthy, they have access to certain information that you and I don't have, right? They know certain things, either be ritual or, you know, spiritual, whatever it may be. They have access to certain information and to certain things that you and I just can't get a hold of. And they either have a very strong belief or a very strong faith in whatever that thing or ritual or practice may be, and they're willing to pay top dollar for it and sacrifice whoever it may be to get their end goal.
But at the end of the day, when you think about it like that, right, it's because they're missing something.
Yeah,
that's all it is. Because you can sit here and say, well, what do they know that I don't know? Well, if you look back, right, this is the way that I look at things, right? When someone does something, I don't ever assume. I don't assume. How do I say this? I don't assume maliciousness over stupidity, right? Because when someone does something that's so out of whack that you're like, there's no logical explanation. Well, yeah. So then let's start looking at the illogical explanations, because the problem people have is they want the logical explanation that's up here, but a lot of times an illogical explanation is very easy to comprehend.
It fits
better.
It fits, right?
That's why Danny always pulls me in. I'm like, Danny, check out the Satanic Rituals. Like, hold on, calm down, Jose.
So like that's the thing. That's all it is to me, man.
I'm always into the woo-woo stuff, bro. Like I'm the first one signed up. Like if there's aliens, I'm like, yo, you saw the new aliens, bro?
Dude, and here's the thing. I don't mind that they exist, right? Like a great example, aliens. I believe aliens exist, but I also believe aliens might be demons. So, like, what is the illogical way to paint a demon for a secular world? Call it an alien.
That's one way. But the other thing is what if the fear is, and this is, to me, it's a theory that I have. To me, it's like, why would you want to hide something that's so big? Well, it's because it's like, I'll use Epstein as an example, right? I think the reason that they killed him is because it's easier for me to get rid of someone that has something that would destroy so much that I'm willing to take a hit and make something so obvious, because the consequences of not doing that would be more detrimental than letting it be. Right? So to me, it's like the same, like the whole
Red Men Tell No Tales.
So exactly. Great movie, by the way. So to me, it's like when you look at aliens and all that stuff, part of the reason that I think it could be, and this is just my opinion, is that whatever that would mean, it would destroy the social fabric of what some people believe. And the problem you have is, and I don't know if you guys have dealt with it, but when you destroy like someone's ideology, you are, and when you lie to someone to that level, it can really like it could really fuck somebody up, because you have to understand, like, look at ISIS, for example, right? The reason ISIS and Al-Qaeda and all these people were so hard to deal with is because they had an ideology. And like part of the things that I learned, and this is something they taught in the army, is that you when you want to manipulate someone or you want to do an interview with someone, you have to understand 4 principles, right? And the army calls it principles. I don't think they're principles. I think they're frameworks. There's an acronym, RICE. It's a reward reward, ideology, coercing or coercion, and then ego. It's like the 4 things that you can pick anyone apart, including yourself, and you do certain things under those four things. And like, if you destroy an ideology, which is like what a bunch of people like follow their path in, then the next thing that happens is like their ego is destroyed. So how do you fix that? Well, the way that you would have to fix their ego is you would have to do what? Because ideology is left. You would have to either reward them, or you would have to coerce them. The problem is, and this is what people don't understand, is when you coerce people, you can never coerce them a second time. You can't. That's why one of the main rules when you conduct an interview or an interrogation, is you don't want to really lie to the person, because once that person knows that you coerce them or you lied to them, you will never get that trust back. And this is actually one of the things that happens in court a lot of times, is when people start finding out things like, oh, you lied to me the whole time. It's a great reason, going back to what we were talking about relationships. It's one of the reasons why so many relationships, you never go back to that person, because you coerced me the whole fucking time. And you were rewarding me and you were destroying my ego at the same time. So when that happens, look at Danny.
That one's personal. That one's personal. I'm sorry.
He felt that one in his soul.
This is why I tell people, like,
you get the black poet snap, dog. You're like,
because the problem you have is you have some people that when they find out they've been coerced, their ego doesn't allow them to recognize that they've been coerced. But once you destroy their ego, they have nothing left, because their ideology and their person, their ego has been destroyed. This is why in jiu-jitsu you hear a lot of times say, leave your ego at the door. Because if not, homie, when you get tapped by a 17-year-old, 110-pound purple belt,
that happens to be female.
That happens to be a female, right? Your ideology of like, oh, I can beat this person up, goes to shit. So what's the next thing that I said happens when you destroy someone's ideology? Their ego gets in the way, right? And then when their ego gets in the way, what do people do when their ego and their ideology gets destroyed? They start doing drugs. They start getting hookers. They start doing all this shit, because you've destroyed the two core principles, the two core things that someone needs to be able to survive.
Yeah.
I mean,
and that's what they say, to get good at jiu-jitsu, you should put them in when they're 6 years old, because they have none of those things.
Or 4.
Or 4.
Or 4. Or right out of the womb. He was like, here, put him in the chokehold.
No, it's funny. I love that you use the jiu-jitsu analogy, because it's like, I remember for me, right? Like Jose knows, like we did karate growing up and boxed and all that stuff. And, Jose wrestled a little bit, so he knew how to grapple, but like grappling was never a thing for us. I did jiu-jitsu for the first time, and I'm like, why is this tiny person just ragdolling?
The first time that I realized that jiu-jitsu worked was I had a situation where I had to take 3 dudes down that were beating up a drill sergeant. I actually say this in the big interview. And what ended up happening was I was by myself and backup was a little bit away. So I ended up breaking the wrist of one, hitting one in the head. And then one of them, I put him in a rear naked choke, and he just went out. And I remember I was like so in shock, not at the fact that I like hit this dude with a baton, hit these 2 dudes with a baton, and I put the last dude out. It was because I didn't think it would work, but it was like any sort of ideology that I had at that time, going back to that, was gone. Because it was like, I don't want to shoot you. I don't want to kill you, because it's not, I don't wish that upon anybody, man. And I was like, well, let me see. And I had to put my ego to the side and just went to work. And then the dude went to sleep. And then my whole world was shook, because I was like, oh my God, like what the fuck? That's why I heard a guy say this, like a lot of people have like the Mr. Smith mentality, where like when they're like, oh, when I see red, it's go time. And it's like, that's cute. And then they get choked and they get put out or they get swept, and you have a man on top of you that weighs half what you do, and he's holding you down. Your ego is crushed, bro. That's why most people can't do jiu-jitsu. And this is why like a lot of people say, oh, jiu-jitsu is for everybody. I completely disagree. Jiu-jitsu is not for everybody, because some people just can't let go of that. And that's just my mentality. But that's how I look at everything. That's why like when I have an interaction with someone, even on the podcast, when you see me talking with somebody, I'm catering to your ideology, and I'm also feeding your ego. And then I'm rewarding it at the same time, because if I do that, at some point in time, you're going to start telling me things that you would tell me, you're going to tell me freely without me having to coerce you. Because remember what I said, right? When you coerce someone, you can never get that trust again. So you'll never be able to deal with that person again. Exactly. So that's just, yeah, that's
so what I'm hearing is Richard is a complete pathological person who likes to manipulate every conversation he's in. And I've already known this because he's one of my best friends.
Makes him a great podcaster.
Makes him a great podcaster.
I'll tell you this. I don't manipulate people that I love. Like I refuse to like try to like manipulate anything. But the thing is like, I'll definitely like cater to your ego and to your ideology because man, the world is just such a fucked up place that I don't want to be the guy that's like shitting on you, right? I'll give you an example. I had a situation a couple weeks ago where I had a woman that, and this goes into the interpreting thing. I had a woman that didn't understand what an interpreter does. And right off the get-go, she goes, oh, you weren't here the last, like literally I walked in. It's like, good afternoon. My name is Ricardo de Aviles. I'm going to be your interpreter for the day. I'm HIPAA certified. So anything that is said here, stays between us. Any questions that you have, please address it to the interpreter. Please do not address the interpreter directly. She goes, well, you weren't here the last few times. This person doesn't need an interpreter. First of all, under the law, the only person who can say that we don't need the interpreter is the patient, because the patient is the person who knows the most about their own thing. And all I did was I let her get out what she had to say. And then throughout the conversation, I was like, okay, bitch, no problem. And she tried to like speak Spanish to the patient. And instead of getting me pissed off, what I did was at some point when the patient went to the bathroom or something, I looked at her and I said, hey, I just want to say you have great enunciation, which she did, by the way, because she didn't say Coco. She said Coco, which very few people don't understand that. And I was like, hey, you have great enunciation. I just want to let you know that most people do not have. Oh, my God, thank you so much. And like right there, I fed your ego and the idea that you had of, oh, I'm good at Spanish. I don't need you. But now your thought process is you've recognized that I'm good at Spanish. So I want to hear what more you have to say because you're feeding my ego. And then I just made a friend and I got more contracts out of that. Like,
I mean, it doesn't hurt to be nice, right? It's really
no. It's not nice. Is not the word, Jose. It's polite, because nice will get you in trouble. Polite will open doors.
Feed the ego and don't coerce people. That's the message.
Feed the ego.
Don't, man. Don't. Just be yourself a lot of times too, because sometimes when you're like, I'm myself around people. Like I'll tell you if I don't like you, and I'll tell you why I don't like you. And if I don't want to deal with you, cuentas claras. My father has a saying that says, "Cuentas claras mantienen amistades."
That's true.
Sir.
But when I don't like someone, I let them know straight off the bat, like, this is why I don't like you, and I sincerely don't want to deal with you. So if you see me on the street, don't ever say hi to me. Don't do anything. Yeah, because the problem a lot of people have is they think that time elapse equates an apology. And this is what a lot of people do. A lot of people think that, a couple of years will pass and then they'll forget about it.
¿Cómo estamos?
No. Don't touch me. Don't fucking touch me. Don't talk to me. I made it very clear to you, because that way, here's the thing, Jose, that way we avoid that uncomfortable conversation. Exactly. Because if I have to have that uncomfortable conversation.
You know what they call that? Defining the relationship. It's like, I don't like you. Yeah. You don't like me. Avoid me. Kick rocks. That's it. Yeah.
If you see me on the street and someone tries to introduce us, I know who he is. It's I don't want to talk. Why? I have nothing nice to say. That's what I do with people, because anything that I have to say about someone, I'll say that to their fucking face. And the other problem people have is people say things behind closed doors, and they think that those things aren't never going to get said. Whereas to me, it's like
darkness always comes to light, bro. Always. Richard, I want to say thank you, bro, for coming back on the show. We really appreciate you for spending, bro. We went over 90 minutes, bro. We're an hour 45. No, this is a great episode, bro. We would never go this long, which is amazing. The last episode we had this long was with Radia, who were she's an author.
We're still waiting on part 2 on that too.
Yeah. So, but we really appreciate you, bro. Where can the people find you so they can follow you on all your socials?
No, absolutely. First of all, everybody go ahead and follow Cultura Truth Project if you're listening to it, because I love Danny and I love Jose. If you want to follow me, you can find me very easily on Richard Aviles on Facebook, which is mainly where I interact with people. You can interact with me on Instagram at language_ninja, which I'm actually going to start. I have a lot of content that I'm going to be putting out about learning Spanish and about interpreting and about HIPAA and all this other stuff, now that I have that information that I want to share with everyone. You can also find me on my email, richardabdel440@gmail.com. That's my personal email. For business inquiries, you can email richard@languageninjasolutions.com. And also follow our podcast, the Rico Podcast, which we're trying to get to 500 subs. We have some good guests coming, but mostly these episodes are going to be just me and Eric because those seems to be the episodes that people enjoy the most. And that's what we enjoy the most, just talking with each other.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we're going to go invade your podcast pretty soon. That's what we're going to do.
Yes. We can't wait to be on that one. Well, mi gente, we really appreciate you guys for joining the show another week here on Cultura Truth Project. Make sure you follow us on all of the socials, on YouTube and on Rumble, Cultura Truth Project, Gonzalez Media TV on Instagram and on Facebook. Subscribe to the podcast on all major platforms and leave us a 5-star review. And don't forget, join the Supporters Club on Spreaker, $3 a month. The link in the description. Audio only. You can't get on YouTube and you can't get on Rumble. Make sure you sign up. We have all the links in the description so you guys can join the Supporters Club and follow Richard Aviles. Everything is in the description. So we love you guys. We appreciate you. And we'll see you guys on the next episode. Have a good one. Nos vemos.
Good night.
Bye.